Hi, this is Mike Noon, and what I want to take you through in this online class is I want to take you through a process that's called the download. And the reason I want to do this is because people like you and like me, entrepreneurs, we tend to get distracted and overwhelmed by a whole heap of things that don't actually, add value to the business. They're just things that we have to do all the time, where we're putting it out fires and we're always looking at what's the inventory, and we're having to deal with payroll and all of that stuff. And it doesn't, as I say, it doesn't do anything other than get us frustrated and overwhelmed and just really kind of stressed out. And that's not what we went into business for. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that we are having this conversation 12 months from today, and that you have got your target figures. This is your future. This is 12 months from now, and you've got your revenue, you've got the amount of time that you want to be spending generating that revenue, and then there's your net profit. And it doesn't really matter what number you come up with. Your number is your number. The amount of time you want to spend working in your business, that's up to you. Some people are really, really ecstatic about doing an 80-hour week. That's absolutely okay. That's perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do throughout this little online class is I'm going to be using some examples, just so not as things that you have to do, but just to illustrate how this process should work for you. And if you haven't already downloaded it and printed it off, you can pause this video now. There is a worksheet that gives you the complete way that we're going to go through this process, and there's a link to that down below this video. So go grab that now if you haven't already, and if you haven't got access to a printer, just use a good old-fashioned pen and a legal pad. There's nothing. This doesn't have to be high-tech. So going back to your target for 12 months from now, let's say you want to have a revenue of $1 million. What we need to now do is we need to look at where are you now? What are your current revenues? What's the current amount of time that you're spending to get that revenue? And what's your net profit figure in there? So let's say that your current revenue is $650K, $650,000. And you, like I say, you're doing maybe 80 hours a week, and maybe you want to cut that down. Maybe you want to increase it. Entirely up to you. Nobody's saying you have to have or do anything here. This is just a process to help you get more of what you want. So what we then are left with is this little box in the middle called the gap. So that will illustrate for you the gap between what your revenue is, so $1 million minus 650K, that gives you a revenue gap of $350,000 a year, or 350,000, whatever currency units you're using. Could be ringgit, rupees, rupiah, doesn't matter. You can also chart the difference between your ideal time that you're spending to generate that revenue and what you're doing now, and mark that out in these boxes. So just go through and just fill out these boxes on your worksheet. And like I say, there's no rights, there's no wrongs in this. It's just whatever you want and just whatever you've got right now. It's just so. Now the next part of this process is we need to have a look at your current situation, which is basically what are you doing right now that's getting you that 650K? What is it that's working that's getting you, the number of hours that you're working per week and your net profit? Because unless we know where you are now, then we have got no way of working out how to improve that or simplify that or just make it work better for you. So in the box on the left here, in the current situation, I want you to write down your monthly averages for revenue. So 650K divided by 12, that's around about 50 grand, 52,000 a year. How many customers do you have or do you need to sell to every month in order to generate that monthly revenue? And just you can go to your shopping cart, whatever that might be, whether it's Infusionsoft or a one shopping cart or whatever it might be, PayPal, and just download your numbers from there. And the last part that we need to identify in this left-hand column is how many leads do you need to have every month in order to get the number of customers that you have to get that revenue that you're currently getting. And like I say, this is just using information that you've got, and if you haven't got access to it, then maybe your tech guy can download it all for you. But we need these numbers. So moving into the middle box, we need to look at what are your traffic and revenue sources. So your traffic is just, like where you're getting the people that are coming to your website or your sales process, whatever method you're using. It could be you're doing outbound calling or whatever it might be. I mean, for me, it's social media, and you might have seen some of my videos on social media and learned a little bit about how I do what I do. So you're going to be looking at what is these primary sources for getting the customers or getting the traffic to your leads mechanism, which then converts them into customers, which then converts it into revenue. So if we look at the current sales process, which is the box on the right, I mean, for me, it's I run an advert on social media, and then people opt in to come to an on-demand class, such as you're watching right now, and they go to the class and they consume the content, and then we have a sales call, and we just talk things through. So what I want you to do is I want you to just map out your current sales process. What is it that's actually working right now that's getting you that for example, 650K or whatever your number is, because that is what is giving you the results you want now. So we need to identify this as well. Okay. Now, what I want to talk to you now about is something that is what can really slow down and get people just confused, and rightly so. I mean, we're bombarded 24/7 by gurus about you have to have this process and you have to have that process, and it's just piling more and more stuff, more and more information onto your head. And what this little online class is about taking all that stuff away and simplifying things for you. So this is where we're going to be looking at the clutter. And the clutter has got three parts. There's there's roadblocks, there's causes and numbers, and then there's brain drains. And I'm going to look at each of these things individually. So with in relation to your target revenue number of $1 million, what is the roadblock that's in the way? And this is just, as I say, just an example. What is the roadblock that's in the way of you getting to that $1 million? And it could be, for example, that your sales team isn't closing enough of your leads. And the thing is with sales processes, there's basically only two components to it that you can alter to improve it. One is to increase the number of leads, and the other thing is the thing that they're actually saying to those leads, your sales script. So it's going to be one of those two things. So in the middle column there, your causes and numbers, what I'd like you to do, and you might have to do a little bit of research and digging about with your team to find out what's going on. But what you want to write down here in this example, and it may be something else in your business. It might not be your sales team. It could be, but a landing page isn't converting. So that you know that is the thing that you have to change in order to get an increased number of leads or whatever it might be. But so on your causes and numbers column in the middle there, using our sales team example, it would be it could be that they're not converting enough people, or they're not getting enough leads to be able to do it. So you're going to identify what is the cause of a roadblock there on the left. Now, on the right-hand side here, we got brain drains, and basically, these are the things that just frustrate the hell out of us because either we shouldn't be doing them at all, or someone else should be doing them, but we have got problems finding the right team. And I'm sure you've heard of examples of or stories of people who've maybe got an online store and they're bringing stuff in from China and maybe doing cosmetics or something like that. And yet every morning they are packing up all the stuff and they're taking it down to the post office and they're shipping it off instead of paying someone $10 an hour to do that for them. So they can focus on doing the things that are really going to move the needle in their business. So one of the things, in the brain drains column, I want you to write down the things that drive you nuts, the things that make you mad, the things that frustrate you, the things that just make you want to tear your hair out and scream and all that kind of stuff. Because by identifying all of this, we're going to use this a little bit later on in this online class, and you'll see why it's important to identify that. So that's what I'd invite you to do now. Just write all that stuff down. And then another important thing to do is for you to identify what's working now, or what has worked best over, say, the last 12 months or 2 years. You might have to go through your shopping cart, your sales records and stuff, and just go, hey, November 2019, gangbusters, made a fortune. And I want you to write down in the left-hand column what your gross sales were for that month, whenever it was. You could probably go back 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. But just write down what the gross sales were. And you're probably going to have to go into your shopping cart again. You're going to have to identify what were the products or services that you sold then that got you those sales, that you sold in that best month. And then you need to look at what were the promotions you used. So was it like a one-time sale? Was it a seasonal sale? Was it like a pre-Christmas countdown sale? Whatever it might have been. Just identify that promotion you used, whether it was online or offline, or whether it was a hybrid model, whatever it was. And then we're going to look at things to focus on and things to fix. Because here's the thing. Just by doing one thing, you can really shift the dial in your business. But you have to identify what that one thing is. And the whole purpose of this exercise has been for you to identify the things that are working best for you now, and also at the other end of that spectrum, to get rid of the things that aren't working but are sucking your energy. All those fires that you're constantly putting out, it doesn't work. It's not good for you. It doesn't make you happy, and nobody likes a grumpy boss or a grumpy dad. So we're here to happy you up. So in this last little rectangle here, focus and fix, I want you to identify what's working best for you right now. What products and services are selling best? What sales or marketing process is working best? What is bringing in the most revenue for you? And what is causing you the smallest amount of stress? And then I want you to look at, in the best month box, the promotions that you use that brought you in that best month. What out of that can be redeployed? So like if it was for example, a holiday countdown special, you could look at, well, what other holidays are there? Sure, there's Christmas, there's Hanukkah, there's Easter, whatever it might be. But you can go onto Google and just search on seasonal celebrations, and you'll come up with a list of probably 50 to 100 holidays every month that you can use as an excuse to reuse your holiday promotion strategy, which can really move the dial. And all you're doing is you're changing it from Christmas to Hanukkah to Easter to Ramadan to whatever it might be, the Buddha Day. And so that's the low-hanging fruit. And you've got all the information there. You don't need to reinvent anything. You don't have to create anything. You just need to do more of the stuff that's worked before. It's simple, easy. In this next box, in the focus and fix, the middle one, is what are the obvious solutions to your roadblocks? So in the example that I gave you, it was that the sales team wasn't performing. So once you've identified the causes, that it's either they're not getting enough leads or the sales script isn't performing properly, that you only have to fix one of those things. So if it's not enough leads, you need to advertise a bit more. And what you will realize that maybe just by increasing the number of your leads, so in theory, if you've got a system of producing predictable, reliable results, and you just put twice the number of leads through your process, in theory, you should be able to double your revenue, shouldn't you? So that's the purpose behind this. The final box here is, what to delegate or ignore. And this is where you need to look at the box above that, which is the brain drains. And we all do stuff that we do because we've been brought up to believe that's what you are supposed to do in business. But it doesn't actually generate anything other than frustration and overwhelm for you. And it just gets you really ratty, if you get like how I used to be. And so what we want to do is we want to simplify things. So we want to work out, of all those things in the brain drains, how many of them do we actually have to do? How many of them are actually contributing to your bottom line? And those things that aren't, and that are just there because that's always the way we've done things, I want you to ignore them. I want you to stop doing them, and stop doing them now. And the other stuff, you need to work out who to delegate them to. And I wouldn't even worry about the how so much. It'd just be, hey, Mr. Junior Office Manager, you have now got something else to look after. There you are. There's the file. There's whatever it is. And while you're at it, I want you to document that in a way so that anybody else can also take care of it. I want you to systemize it, process map it. So that's basically the end of this little online class. And So if you've gone through this process, and I assume you are, because you're still here, if you want to put together a plan whereby we can come up with different ways for you to identify all these things that are working in your business, which of your assets, your sales processes, your marketing processes, your lists, and so we can really leverage your business up. You can just contact me via the link in on this web page. It's just below the video there, and I'll get back to you, and we'll set a date and a time, and we'll have a bit of a talk through it. And there's no charge for that. It's just part of my way of helping you to grow your business. Because this is how I do what I do. I help businesses to grow their business, and that's what grows my business. So it's win-win all round. So if you've enjoyed this and if you've got value from it, then please tell a friend and send them to the opt-in page on the social media or wherever it was you got it. Just email the opt-in page to them, and please feel free to comment on it on the little comments boxes below, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about how much simpler and easier your business has become and how much more profitable. So this is Mike Noon, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Is this you? You want to grow, but you're overwhelmed and frustrated by all the conflicting advice from the different gurus, and you don't know who to trust, you don't know who to believe? If that's the case, I'd like to offer you a conversation. And during our conversation, you'll learn where the leverage is in your existing sales and marketing system. And together we'll examine and work out ways to leverage and then amplify these things. We'll also dig in and find the things that are not working. And I'll strongly encourage you to stop doing these activities. Now, why do I do this? Well, a number of people I have these conversations with end up retaining me to help them. And incidentally, in case you're wondering, it's pretty expensive. And by the way, please understand that this is in no way a sales pitch in disguise. You're really going to get genuine value from our conversation, regardless of whether or not we decide to work together. Nor am I going to apply any pressure to you. I don't need to. And I'm so confident that you'll find it to be of value that if you tell me that I wasted your time, I will give you $500 for the 30 minutes we spend together to compensate you. So the best case scenario is you get some genuine help, and the worst case scenario is you get paid $500 for a 30-minute conversation. My criteria. You need to understand I'm not willing to do this for just anybody. The only way I'm willing to set aside some time to talk with someone is if they meet the following 7 criteria. 1, you must have an existing business that is actually making money. If you're a startup, please don't apply because I'm not particularly good with startups. 2, you must be selling ethical products. No porn or gambling stuff, no biz-op, etc. 3, you must be willing to follow instructions and take action. No slack is allowed. Sorry. 4, you have to be turning over at least $250K. 5, you must be advertising or be willing to advertise. 6, you should have some momentum and goodwill going in your market already. And 7, you must be willing to fill out an application which is simply there to save us wasting each other's precious time. So, what I want you to do is just take some time to think about it, and you can call me later, or you can fill out the application form by clicking on the link below this video. And I look forward to speaking to you really soon. Have a great day. Go forth and be prosperous.